Hi guys, and welcome to my 2023 financial recap and 2024 financial goals video. So as I promised in my last monthly budgeting video, I wanted to make a video recapping all of 2023 and then also talking about my goals for this coming year. So I'm excited to hop into that, and hopefully you can use this video as maybe some inspiration for your own financial goals for the coming year. And I'm excited to, look back a year from now and see how these goals played out. So I think I'm going to break this video up three ways. The first thing I'm going to talk about is recapping my 2023 financial goals, what I hit, what I missed. Then I'm also going to be talking about just some of my overall financial metrics, about how my net worth changed, all of that. And then finally, I will get into what my 2024 financial goals are. So jumping into my 2023 financial goals, I'll talk about the goals that I hit, and then I'll talk about the goals that I missed. So I set 7 financial goals this year, and I had 4 main financial goals and 3 smaller, honestly, just less important goals, but that were still goals. And I'm very grateful that I did hit my 4 big goals. So those goals were max out my Roth IRA for the year. I maxed that out in the spring. Next, I wanted to finish building a 6-month emergency fund. I was able to finish that goal back in the spring as well, in part to a unexpected bonus I got from work. And also I got a pretty sizable tax return last year, which I wasn't counting on. And so I was able to finish creating that 6-month emergency fund a little bit sooner than expected. My next goal was to invest well past my employer match in my 401k. And the reason I say invest well past the match is because I didn't think I was going to get to max out my 401k last year, but I knew I wanted to contribute as much as I could pretty much. And I actually exceeded this goal. I was in fact able to max out my 401k for the last year, which was exciting. I know I've spoken about that in my most recent monthly budget with me videos. I really did not think I was going to get to do that this year. I think like I said, the tax return and the bonus from work, because I was able to finish building out my emergency fund earlier than expected, I was able to more aggressively focus on maxing out my 401k. And that's the reason why I was able to actually surpass this goal this past year. And then my 4th goal was also to invest a little bit in my brokerage account once the rest of my goals were met. And I was also able to do that as well. I added a little bit to my taxable brokerage fund. So now I'm going to talk about my 3 baby goals that I missed. So the first one was read 4 financial books this year. I'm pretty sure I read only 1. I actually read an embarrassingly small amount of books this year, you guys. I started off kind of strong at the beginning of last year, but this fall I really went into a big reading slump. From a fiction standpoint, I wasn't interested in any fiction books, and even nonfiction books, I really couldn't get myself to sit down and read them. So that just didn't happen. The next thing I wanted to do was to finish my horse savings fund with money that I earned through pet sitting. This did not happen. However, of course I would have liked to have hit this goal, but I'm not sorry I didn't take more action in order to hit this goal. So in 2022, I was saving very aggressively and pet sitting a lot in order to buy this one specific horse I really want to buy. And that did not work out. She's not for sale at this time. And so coming into 2023, I still wanted to be adding to that horse savings fund and being prepared for someday. But I knew it probably wasn't going to work out, that I was actually going to get to buy her this year. And I wanted to continue pet sitting for my main clients, but I didn't really take on any new clients this year. And that was on purpose. I like pet sitting sometimes, but it can be very exhausting, and because I have a full-time job and it's just kind of a side hustle for me, I don't want to physically wear myself out with it, and I really enjoy just having my main clients that I watch. So I really did not pet sit a lot for the first half of the year, and then in the fall it picked up a little bit. I was still able to add a decent chunk of money to my horse savings fund, but I did not complete the fund like I had intended. And then lastly, I wanted to start a new side hustle this year. So side hustle apart from pet sitting, I wanted to really start just kind of like a small business on the side. That was an epic fail. This was, I would say, the one goal where I really kind of let myself down this year. I wasn't expecting to be making a lot of money or really any significant money from this new side hustle by the end of the year, but I was hoping to have like a good foundation in place and to have started it. And there were actually two ideas I have, two kind of side business ideas that I worked on at various points throughout the year. I just didn't really come to fruition with any of them. So that was definitely kind of a fail this year, but I did learn a lot. I didn't earn any money from this really, but one of my goals this year was to start posting more personal finance videos on TikTok, and then YouTube kind of came back into the mix as well, and I did keep that promise to myself. So even though I haven't really earned any money from this yet, I feel like I've learned a lot from it. I've enjoyed making content for people. Hopefully I've helped someone out. It's also nice to just keep me accountable. So I did keep that promise to myself last year, but I'm hoping to hold my feet to the fire a little bit more this coming year. So now I'm going to jump into talking about some of my financial metrics from the last year. So I was calculating my net worth to see how it changed in the last year, and in 2023 I actually just barely doubled my total net worth for the year. So that was kind of a cool metric to hit. I hadn't even realized that. My net worth is made up of both cash and investments. And if you had debt, you would subtract that off as well. Fortunately, I don't have debt. The investments part of my net worth is the thing that I'm really focusing aggressively on. And so my investments are definitely what changed the most in my net worth. I did increase a little bit in cash just due to various sinking funds and finishing up that emergency fund. My total net worth doubled. My investments part in particular increased by 2.5 times. So I definitely made some really good progress there this year. And the reason why I am focused so heavily on investments right now is that I set a goal for myself that I want to achieve Coast Fire. I decided around summertime that that was my like big goal that I wanted to focus on right now. So right now the goal is Coast Fire by the age of 28. I am 23 right now, about to be 24. So when I started tracking this goal in August was the first time I ever manually tracked my progress to Coast Fire. And at that point, assuming I hit Coast Fire at 28, because your Coast Fire number is dependent upon what age you are now and what age you plan to retire. So if I'm looking at hitting Coast Fire by 28, in August, I was 31% to Coast Fire. And then when I track that number again at the end of this year, I am now 38% to Coast Fire. So that was only about like a 5 months worth of me tracking it. I guess retroactively, I could go back and like look at what my Coast Fire progress would have been at the beginning of 2023. But I'm just gonna talk about it because really August is like the first time I actually started paying attention to that. So I will be excited to see the progress I make on Coast Fire this year. There is a potential chance that I could hit Coast Fire by 27, which could be really exciting. But some of that's just going to be dependent on how the market performs over the next few years, and that's not up to me. So I want to keep the goal a little more relaxed to 28, and we'll just see what happens. The reason I want to hit Coast Fire is because it's fun to me. Like, it makes financial independence a game, because I don't think I'm going to be retiring for many years from now. Sometimes saving for retirement can seem like an arbitrary type of goal, but having a Coast Fire number that I could achieve in the next few years makes the goal a lot more tangible and a lot more exciting for me to track my retirement progress. Looking at my income for the last year, my income actually stayed the same this past year. It didn't increase or decrease any. And I'll talk more about job and income in next month's video, okay? But for now, I'll just say, yeah, it hasn't changed at all this past year, and I've been in the same job for the past year. But with that being said, my monthly expenses also stayed the same. So I always would have a goal amount that I wouldn't spend over in a certain month, and that did remain the same over the year. So now I'm going to jump in and start talking about my 2024 financial goals, and they really don't look that different than last year's. So the first goal is to max out my Roth IRA. Secondly, I want to max out my 401k this year again. And then if I have any additional money to invest, I want to just go ahead and put all that in my taxable brokerage account. Those are my big 3 goals. Now, a goal I would have on here if I could would be max out my health savings account. A health savings account is a wonderful account to take advantage of if you have a qualifying health plan. However, I am still on my parents' health insurance, so I'm not eligible to have my own health savings account. But if you have a high deductible health plan and you are eligible for it, you should definitely look into a health savings account and focus on putting that in your financial goals to hit. And now moving on to my baby goals for the year. So I want to read 2 financial books this year. As you can see, I really lowered that number from 4, trying to make it a little more realistic for myself. And to be honest, I consume a lot of financial information in other ways. So even if I'm not reading a book, it doesn't mean I'm not learning. And I'm also not someone that thinks the more books you read, the better, especially when it comes to nonfiction books. I think it's more important to have a select few books that you're actually going to implement what you learned from it instead of just reading a million different books and letting them go in one ear and out the other. So I'm not disappointed that I haven't read a ton of books because I am still learning, and when I am reading a book, I'm really taking and making action off of what I read. Next, I want to use my pet sitting money to finally finish my horse savings fund. And then once I achieve my horse savings fund goal, any additional money that I make from pet sitting this year, I am just going to use that for travel. I am relatively close to meeting that horse savings fund goal. It's definitely going to depend on how often I'm pet sitting, but I think there's a fair chance I could even make that goal by summer. And then lastly, I do want to start a new side business this year that's not pet sitting. Just really want to lay the foundation and start working on a new idea. And any revenue I earned from that this year, I do want to just invest all of that money. I was thinking about whether or not I should give myself a certain set goal amount of money I would like to make from the side business, monthly or even yearly. And I decided not to do that because for me, I think it's just less important to focus on the certain goal number and more just focusing on the process itself and making progress and actually working on something that is bringing value. So stay tuned on that. I feel like I've actually made some pretty good progress on a few things so far, and we're only 2 weeks into the year. I really just kind of dropped the ball on some of that in 2023, but I'm just excited to get back into it this year and to challenge myself to actually create something. So it was my goal reflection and goal setting for this year. Pretty boring, honestly, but the good thing with financial goals is that they don't need to be these super complex, complicated goals. Keeping them simple is definitely the way to go. And also, I know I've talked a lot here about maxing out this account, maxing out that account. If you're not there yet, that's perfectly fine. Reaching a certain dollar amount in a Roth IRA account, or saying you want to meet half of the goal for a certain type of account, that's perfectly fine. You don't need to be completely maxing out the account to still set a worthwhile and valuable goal for yourself. So definitely keep that in mind. And I know I don't have any debt as well, or I'm not saving for a house right now, but those are also very valuable financial goals as well that are a little more cash-based goals instead of investment-based goals. But those are also really good goals you could set for yourself. And I am planning on posting a TikTok video where I kind of give an example of different types of goals you could set for yourself. Definitely challenge yourself to set some sort of goal this year. It's just always fun to look back and reflect on your progress. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.